or tuning in the sun. This is TFM, get ready to rock. From AM to PM, come on, let's talk.
TFM 95.4.
Let's talk.
Live on TFM and the TFM Facebook page. This is the live feed of TTV. Let's talk.
Hello and welcome to the Midday Update. These are the top headlines from our news desk today. New appointments to create jobs in Oman and boost growth. Coming to Oman, buy that COVID-19 insurance first. All private and public schools will open on November 1st, 2020. Blended learning is a new approach to Oman's education system. House collapses in Wilayat Matra, 1 dies and 1 injured. Al Boremi Hospital's ICU is temporarily closed. PACP asked to not make false claims on sanitizers to lure customers. UN General Assembly adopts resolution on COVID-19. UK reaches first major post-Brexit free trade deal with Japan. These were the top headlines from our news desk. Now let's see how the weather condition in the Sultanate looks like today in our weather update.
We're outside the TFM studio in Al Khair and we've got the weather updates coming right up, but first the daily tip. Now, despite your best efforts, if you have gotten a sunburn, remember it will take some time to heal, and during this time your affected skin needs extra care. Apart from using hydrating and cooling up lotions and moisturizers, what is also important that you wear clothes that protect your skin from the sun. Opt for tightly woven fabric, and you can check this by holding it up against the sun. The lesser light that passes through, the better it is. Now with that, we'll step inside the studio and talk a little bit more about weather. Oman Meteorology and Public Authority for Civil Aviation have not dropped the alert yet, which means there will be a reduction in horizontal visibility during fog. Apart from this, let's take a look at what the seas are going to be like. The Musandam coast and Oman Sea will have waves reaching a height of 1.25 meters and relative humidity between 25 to 65% and 45 to 85% respectively. The Arabian Sea is going to be slight to moderate with waves reaching a height of 1.5 meter, relative humidity between 70 to 90%. Now let's take a look at what the weather is going to be like in the rest of the governorates. Muscat is going to be sunny with temperatures ranging between 35 degrees Celsius and 28 degrees Celsius. Musandam is also going to be sunny with temperatures ranging between 41 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius. Al Dakhla is going to be partly cloudy with temperatures between 41 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius. Al Boremi is going to be sunny with temperatures ranging between 40 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. North Al Batana is also going to be sunny with temperatures between 39 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius, while South Al Batana is going to be partly cloudy with temperatures between 39 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius. North Al Sharqiya is going to be partly cloudy with temperatures between 42 degrees Celsius and 27 degrees Celsius, while South Al Sharqiya is going to be sunny with temperatures between 34 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius. Al Wusta is going to be sunny with temperatures ranging between 35 degrees Celsius to 23 degrees Celsius. Al Dahira is going to be partly cloudy, temperatures between 43 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, and Dhofar is going to be partly cloudy, temperatures between 31 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius.
Shop, play and win. Purchase Laknor products worth 2 Oman Riyals from Rafiq.om or through the app and win 3 iPhones and 3 PlayStations every week. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. Now let's get into the details of our local stories. Welcoming the new appointments made by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, Majlis Ash-Shura members have said that this is in line with Oman's 2040 vision and aimed at boosting the country's growth. His Majesty issued 28 royal decrees on August 18, selecting new ministers, merging some ministries, and making new appointments on key government posts. In this context, Yunus bin Ali Al-Mandhari, A member of the Shura Council, representative of the Vilayat of Iski in Al Dakhliya Governorate and the chairman of the Youth Committee said that the royal decrees issued by His Majesty involve merging and establishing of public institutions. The appointments are in line with Oman Vision 2040. There is little doubt that what has been implemented through the recent royal decrees is in connection with limiting the role of the state's administrative apparatus in line with Vision 2040. This is what we all hoped for, he added. Commenting on why this had taken place, he said that an expanded government will require more allocation in terms of finances, which in turn puts strain on the state's budget. Reducing government cost is in line with Vision 2040, as well as the current economic conditions experienced around the world because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Al-Mandari also shed light on the key challenges this government needs to address, saying, Omani society has many aspirations, but to achieve these, we must learn from the failures of the past, including the issue of job seekers, which is a must-discuss topic among people here, as well as on social media. This is an ongoing issue that has still not been solved, and there is high demand for job creation among fresh graduates and job seekers. He added that appropriate solutions must be found at the earliest because the number of graduates coming out of colleges and universities every year increases by thousands. We also hope that the new government agenda is presented soon so that we know its priorities and can work towards implementing them. We aim to remove the obstacles for both citizens and residents. There is no doubt that the best evaluators of the government will be citizens and residents of the Sultanate. Now, passengers arriving in Muscat or Oman must have the insurance that will cover the costs for at least 30 days of COVID-19 treatment, the country's Civil Aviation Authority has said. The guidelines were issued by the CAA ahead of the planned reopening of airports in the country, which has been scheduled for October 1st, 2020. All passengers are required to follow them to minimize the spread of the disease. Speaking to Times of Oman, an official from Oman Airports said, these precautionary measures at Oman's airports were previously applied for unscheduled flights. Starting October 1st, they will be in place across all scheduled flights. All incoming passengers must have health insurance that covers the cost of their care for a period of up to 1 month. The temperatures of all arrivals will be checked, and those who display the symptoms of the coronavirus will be subject to further examination. He also said that transfer passengers must abide by the guidelines issued both while on board and at the airport. Incoming passengers must submit all documents required for them, as well as follow the request made of them by the authorities, which could include taking a medical examination or entering quarantine. Currently, non-Omanis are not allowed to enter the Sultanate without a travel permit issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, based on applications put forward by their sponsors or the country's national carriers, including Oman Air and Salam Air. Only these two airlines can currently carry transfer passengers. All arrivals into the country will also be subject to PCR tests, the results of which could take between 1 and 7 days, and must enter 14-day quarantine, during which period they must wear an electronic wristband to monitor their whereabouts. Foreign nationals coming to the Sultanate must show confirmation of reserved accommodation and pay for their 14-day stay in institutional quarantine, the Civil Aviation Authority said, adding that air crew are currently exempt from institutional quarantine but must follow the guidelines issued for cabin crew by the Ministry of Health, while foreign diplomats can undergo home quarantine for the aforementioned period. People are not allowed to wait in the arrivals area of the airport to receive passengers unless they have been given authorization to do so. Passengers are only allowed to bring 1 handbag and 1 duty-free bag each during their time inside the airport to avoid congestion at security checkpoints. According to the Civil Aviation Authority, all travelers must adhere to wearing face masks in the correct manner upon arrival at the airport and for the duration of the flight. Non-travelers, those who drop passengers to the airport, and members of the public are not allowed to enter the departures building, with the exception of an escort for people with special needs. Lastly, Omanis in the country who wish to travel overseas must have health insurance that provides coverage for COVID-19, and all travelers will be bound by the rules of the destination country. Nationals and residents can leave the country without the issuance of a travel permit. All private and public schools in the Sultanate will reopen on November 1, 2020, a senior Ministry of Education official said on Thursday. Speaking at the press conference of the Supreme Committee, the Minister of Education, Dr. Madiha Ahmad Al-Shaybani, said school hours in the Sultanate will range in between 3 to 5 hours. She also elaborated that the daily school hours will be between 3 hours in low-density schools, 4 hours for medium-density schools, and 5 hours in high-density schools. Schools buses will operate at 50% capacity, she informed. She also said that the primary school age students, which is between class 1 to 4, do not need to wear masks, as recommended by the World Health Organization, and the ministry will provide hand sanitizers and thermometers. The ministry has prepared a health protocol to implement the precautions in schools, which include physical spacing, wearing masks, washing hands, and spacing inside school buses, in addition to adopting the school hours system and not classes, she added. The Minister of Education also said that in the event that the guardian does not want his child to attend school, the ministry has set a protocol and special conditions for cases that are allowed to study only remotely. In addition to that, Dr. Madiha, the Minister of Education, has said that the education sector is being accorded great attention by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, notably under the current exceptional conditions. His Majesty the Sultan gave directives to make school year 2020-2021 as a year of blended learning, an approach to education that combines traditional classroom-based methods of teaching with online classes or distance learning through electronic platforms or television channels. The minister added that in implementation of the royal directives, the Ministry of Education continued to exert efforts to prepare plans and programs for the operation of schools in a manner that guarantees the health and safety of pupils and teaching and administrative staff. The minister outlined plans for the forthcoming school year, which is 2020-21, which is starting in full swing by 1st November 2020, noting that the Education Ministry devised the general framework of operation of Sultanate schools. The minister explained that a set of health procedures termed Health Protocol is among the salient features of the Sultanate's education system. The Health Protocol features the roles of all segments pertaining to the school community, including pupils, teachers, and parents, who are all exhorted to undertake precautions like maintaining social distancing, wearing face masks, washing hands, using sanitizers, and operating school buses at half capacity. Another feature of the Sultanate's educational system this year in the school operation program, which endorses the system of hours rather than the system of classes, said the minister, who explained that schools have been put in 3 categories, depending on density as follows. Low-density schools that operate with not more than 16 students per class in a day at a rate of 3 hours per school day. Medium-density schools that operate at a rate of 4 hours a day at half capacity, which is about number of students during the first week and the other half during the week that follows. Lastly, high-density schools operate at a rate of 5 hours a day at 1/3 capacity in every week. Students have to be put in 3 sets to attend in 3 weeks, except class 12 students who will be put in 2 sets, with the first group attending in the first week and the second in the week that follows. It is stated clearly that students belonging to medium and high density schools have to continue their education online via educational platforms and television channels during the course of the week in which they stay at home. An expat died and 1 other injured as a result of a house which collapsed in Muscat Governorate, the public authority for civil defense and ambulance known as PAGDA in the country announced lately. A statement issued online by PAGDA said, the research and rescue team dealt with a report of a house which collapsed on 2 people belonging to the Asian community in Wilayat Matra in Muscat Governorate. One person who was provided with emergency medical care survived the incident and was subsequently transferred to the hospital due to moderate injury. The other individual was found dead during rescue operations. There are cases of infectious diseases reported among the ICU medical staff at Al Buraimi Hospital, the General Directorate of Health Services and Al Buraimi Governorate said in a notice. A statement issued online by the General Directorate of Health Services in Al Buraimi Governorate said, with reference to the message circulating about the closure of the intensive care unit at Al Buraimi Hospital, we would like to report that there are cases of infection among the medical staff. So the intensive care has been temporarily closed with the continuation of providing the usual services. This is an internal procedure and no official circular has been issued about the closure of intensive care at all. The Directorate reserves its legal right to the publisher of the message and its prompter. Hand sanitizer manufacturers and suppliers in Oman have been asked by the Public Authority for Consumer Protection to not publish misleading claims about their products in order to attract more customers. Any hand sanitizer would only receive permission to be displayed on shop shelves once it had met all of the Ministry of Health requirements in terms of safety and the health benefits provided to people, PACP added. A statement from PACP said, whether the hand sanitizer is in the form of gel or spray, it is important for all suppliers and manufacturers to adhere to the laws currently active in Oman, as well as fulfill all of these products in terms of formula before they can be introduced to the local markets, so that the safety and health of the consumer is guaranteed while using these products. The authority said that all products of this nature had to stay away from false or misleading advertising targeted at customers who intend to buy such products, and to ensure the products kept the customer safe from harm, assuming it is used the way it should be. Those manufacturers and or suppliers of sanitizers who have fallen foul of the ministry's regulation have to ensure they begin following them once again within the next 14 days. Violations of this nature are punishable by the imprisonment of those who falsely market such goods, as well as a fine, which is in accordance with Royal Decree number 66/2014 and the regulations regarding its putting into practice, which is governed by Ministerial Decision number 77/2017. The authority would like to add that it will monitor the sale of sanitizers in the market through inspection campaigns and consumer feedback, after which it will accordingly enforce the laws on those found guilty of violating them, according to the statement issued by PACP. It's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more latest updates coming your way from our international desk.
Shop, play and win. Purchase Laknor products worth 2 Oman Riyals from Rafiq.om or through the app and win 3 iPhones and 3 PlayStations every week. Rafiq, you order, we deliver.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. And now from our international desk. The General Assembly on Friday adopted an omnibus resolution to encourage international cooperation in response to COVID-19. The resolution, which was adopted 169-2 with 2 abstentions, identifies international cooperation, multilateralism, and solidarity as the only way for the world to effectively respond to global crises such as COVID-19. It acknowledges the key leadership role of the World Health Organization and the fundamental role of the UN system in catalyzing and coordinating the comprehensive global response to COVID-19 and the central efforts of member states. It supports the UN Secretary-General's appeal for an immediate global ceasefire, notes with concern the impact of the pandemic on conflict-affected states and those at risk of conflict, and supports the continued work of UN peacekeeping operations. It calls on member states and all relevant actors to promote inclusion and unity in response to COVID-19 and to prevent, speak out, and take strong action against racism, xenophobia, hate speech, violence, and discrimination. It calls on states to ensure that all human rights are respected, protected, and fulfilled while combating the pandemic, and that their responses to the COVID-19 pandemic are in full compliance with their human rights obligations and commitments. The resolution calls on member states to put in place a whole of government and whole of society response with a view to strengthening their health system and social care and support systems and preparedness and response capacities. It calls on states to ensure the right of women and girls to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health, including sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights. It urges member states to enable all countries to have unhindered, timely access to quality, safe, efficacious, and affordable diagnosis, therapeutics, medicines, and vaccines, and essential health technologies and their components, as well as equipment for the COVID-19 response. It encourages member states to work in partnership with all relevant stakeholders to increase research and development, funding for vaccines and medicines, leverage digital technologies, and strengthen scientific international cooperation necessary to combat COVID-19 and to bolster coordination toward rapid development, manufacturing, and distribution of diagnostics, therapeutics, medicines, and vaccines. It also reaffirms the need to ensure the safe, timely, and unhindered access of humanitarian and medical personnel responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Britain and Japan on Friday made a secure free trade agreement, which is Britain's first major trade deal as an independent trading nation after Brexit, the British government said lately. According to the British Department for International Trade, known as DIT, this deal means 99% of exports to Japan will be tariff-free and is expected to increase bilateral trade by £15.2 billion, about $19.5 billion US dollars. The DIT said that the UK-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement was agreed in principle by Britain's International Trade Secretary Liz Truss and Japan's Foreign Minister Motegi Toshimitsu. The agreement is also an important step for Britain towards joining the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is noted as CPTPP, it noted. Regarding reaching this deal as a historic movement for the UK and Japan, Truss said that the deal goes far beyond the existing EU deal as it secures new wins for British businesses in our great manufacturing, food and drink, and tech industries. Business will help support the government in its efforts to secure more trade deals around the world and promote their benefits to communities. The Japan deal can be the first of many, said Director General of the Confederation of British Industry, Carolyn Fairbairn. Britain and Japan launched free trade negotiations in June. The agreement came after trade talks between Britain and the European Union had suffered a major setback. Whilst this agreement is undoubtedly cause of celebration, securing a free trade agreement with the EU remains critical to the future of businesses in the UK, said British Chambers of Commerce Director General Adam Marshall. We urge the ministers to redouble their efforts to reach a comprehensive partnership with our largest trading partner at a crucial time in the negotiations, he said. The Afghan negotiation team traveling to Qatar's capital, Doha, on Friday to hold direct talks with the Taliban outfit has raised the ray of hope among Afghans towards peace in their country. I'm very happy today to see government peace delegation going to Doha for talks with Taliban to end the war in the country, 41-year-old Kabul resident Karimullah Khan told Xinhua. Khan lamented that the prolonged war and militancy had destroyed his life and claimed the lives of his family members and relatives. The much-awaited intra-Afghan dialogue is scheduled to open in Doha at a ceremony to be attended by senior officials from different countries, including U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, and senior officials from the host country, Qatar. The 21-member negotiated team, headed by Afghan former spy chief Mohammad Masoom Stenakzai, left Kabul for Doha on Friday afternoon to hold talks with the Taliban group to find a negotiated solution to Afghanistan's protracted war. This is a historic day. I'm hopeful that the talks could lead to ending the war and restoring lasting peace in Afghanistan. Chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation, Abdullah said before embarking the plane for Doha. The continued militancy and conflicts almost claimed the lives of Afghans, including civilians, every day. At least 4 dozens, mostly militants, have been killed in the country over the past 24 hours, according to security officials. A deadly bomb attack targeting the motorcade of Afghan First Vice President Amrullah Saleh on Wednesday slightly injured the Vice President, but claimed more than a dozen lives and injured scores of others. Greece's European partners are already offering assistance to the country to cope with the crisis on Lesbos Island after the destruction of the Moria refugee migrant camp by a fire this week. They are preparing to agree a coherent single migration and asylum policy to find a definite solution to the challenge, Margaritis Schinas, European Commission Vice President, said recently. Schinas was on a 2-day visit to Greece after the largest reception center in the country, which was created 5 years ago on the northeastern Aegean Sea island to host thousands of refugees who arrived there from the nearby Turkish coast, was destroyed in a series of blazes under still unclear circumstances. Greek officials have said that the first big fire erupted as some of the 35 residents who had tested positive for COVID-19 resisted isolation measures. The overcrowded camp, with a capacity of some 2,800, but which accommodated almost 13,000 people, was left in ruins, with the Greek authorities struggling to shelter their residents in new temporary facilities. We need to take a broader look at our migration policies and make sure that Moria will be there to remind us of everything that we need to change in Europe, said Schinas said in a statement. He also added that we are a family, we are a union. It is unthinkable that only a few member states have to shoulder a disproportionate responsibility in crisis situations. The pillars of this new agreement among member states should be solidarity and responsibility, he said. At the forefront of the influx of refugees into Europe since 2015, Greece has received more than 1 million people who risked their lives on boats operated by smuggling networks. Half of them landed on Lesbos, an island with a population of about 85,000. Most of people who reached Greece in 2015, fleeing war zones and extreme poverty, continued their journey to other European countries until the borders along the Balkan route were closed. Approximately 100,000 asylum seekers are currently stranded in Greece, according to the Greek government. A third of them are hosted in overflowing camps on 5 islands. These were the top headlines and stories from our local and international news your way. But stay tuned, as we'll be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. with more latest updates your way. Keep watching Time TV.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.